Alright guys, so today we're going to do how to make a proper post in WordPress. The reason why I'm going over how to make a proper post is that if you get our WordPress 101 video or the plus pack to this, you would already have seen how to make a post, and this is just a refresher for all those who've already done the plus pack or who've already used WordPress, because I figured, you know, this should be further near the end of the linking to Facebook and adding audio, because in the end I want you to be able to know how to do everything before you do your post, so now you can be a little more sleek when you do your posts. So do a post. I'm going to do add new. This is where your post title goes, right here where it says inner title here. Really simple. Type a simple title, and then from there you have all of this. Now if you don't see all of this, you might need to click this button here, and that's called show and hide the kitchen sink. And here's the reason: without it, you don't see these lovely buttons down here that can save you tons of time, and I'll explain why and how they can. So starting from the top left hand corner, we're going to go over all the buttons. First, this is how to add an image. Click on that. See me add images before. It's basically the same thing. This is adding a video. I highly recommend never adding videos to your website. If you watched the audio portion of how to add MP3s or audios to your website, you will know for a fact that adding the audio and streaming it can be very detrimental to the health of your website. So if you're adding a video straight to your website instead of dropping it on a website like YouTube, then you're going to run into problems. So let me re-explain to get some of the murkiness away from my explanation. If you add a video by clicking this button, you can cause a lot of problems with your website. But if you add a video on YouTube and you attach it to your website, thumbs up all the way, and it really doesn't hurt your website to do that. Next is adding the audio, as you saw earlier, and then this one is just adding media. You probably won't do this unless you're like adding like a PDF document or maybe a PowerPoint presentation, but that's basically when you would use that. Next, going down here, this is the bold, it's your italicized, it's your strike through. I know everybody knows what bold and italicized is for, but now you're thinking, why strike through? Well, some people use strike-throughs for typos. Some people use strike-throughs to show discounts. I use it for discounts on odinsmart.com. If you went to our site to purchase this actual video, you would have saw one price with a line strike through it, and then the actual price. What the point of a strike-through is, in that particular scenario, is that it's a marketing gimmick. And the way it works is, you're letting people know this is the absolute most the video is going to be worth, or whatever your package is going to be worth, but this is how much you can get it if you get it now. It's not a lie. It's actually telling people that something's on sale. So, for example, when you go to the store and you go to buy a pair of shoes that's on clearance, what does it always say? Shoes were $80, now $20. What it's basically letting you know is the shoe was valued at $80 if you would have bought it new. But now that you're buying it near the end of the season, it's only $20. So what you're essentially doing for your viewers of your website is saying, hey, when I originally made this video package, or originally I did this webinar setup, I was originally going to cost you guys like $1,200. But now that I have it out there, I'm dropping the price to $800 because, you know, you might have had a change of heart, things of that nature. But it's very good because it lets people know where you are mentally as far as how you value your stuff. Do not, and I repeat, do not get ridiculous with this strike through in that kind of marketing way. And this is what I mean. There are a lot of people out there that will sit down and say, let's see, I made a video. It's worth $1,200, but you can get it today for $5. Nobody's going to believe that. That is completely unbelievable. No one will believe that you had a video that was valued at $1,200 that you're now selling for $5. It's basically like going up to a guy and he has a Porsche and he'll sell it to you for $150. And you're like, that's impossible. No one would fall for it. Don't even try. You always want to make it the truth and also believable, which is that if I say you can buy this video package for $120 but you can get it today for $80. That means that at one time it was $120. It does not mean, oh, pick a way out there number. I mean, if that was the case, why don't you just go for broke? This video was once worth $1 million, and now it's only worth $5. It's a bargain. Not really, because no one's going to believe it was worth $1 million. Anyways, enough about the marketing part. The other reason why strike-throughs are used is because people sometimes strike through just things that were wrong, grammatically incorrect, use the wrong name, wrong verb tense. I really don't like using strike-throughs. I'd rather just edit it, because sometimes if you go through your document enough and you keep strike-throughing, you're going to find that you didn't do a lot of things right if you're strike-throughing in that nature. And it can actually turn people off, because it's like, wow, every other word he's striking through. Did he not proofread this? You probably want to reserve it for just like if you say John Maxwell and you meant John Bevere or something like that, then you might want to use strike-through in that particular sense because you typed the wrong name. But don't use it to correct any of your bad grammar or spelling errors. Just change it. No one's going to know that you changed it. Moving on. This is your unordered list. So here's a list. We're going to do with this. So you're going to click the button. All right, there goes your little bulleted list. And you're going to do hello. How are you? What's up? That's it. There's no numbering order to it. Basically, it's just like doing any bulleted writing that you do in Microsoft Word. You can also highlight that and go, oh, I didn't mean to do bullets. Sorry. I want to do numbers. You can change it to numbers. There you go. Let's highlight this and remove it. All right. Next up, this is the block quote. So let's do a quote. All right. Put that. So somebody said, I never touched that cookie. You can highlight it, block quote it, and it will actually just take it off center. So if you're enter once, and let's say you have, I'm sorry, let me make sure. Sometimes you have to format things correctly. You just can't do it on the fly. So like I'm up here, I'm typing something. I realize this is gobbledygook, but I'm just typing something. And then I'm basically wanting to do a quote right under it. So I do block quote, boom. Sorry, block quote it, enter, unblock quote it. You can go back to typing whatever you want. So sometimes people, when they do block quotes, they'll do this, like that. And then depending on the theme that you have, it might actually be highlighted. I've seen some themes that once you do a block quote, they'll actually put a nice border around it so that it stands out. Block quotes are normally reserved for quotes from famous people or quotes from testimonials. Testimonials of people who've used your services or people you've talked to and helped and impacted and influenced. I really don't suggest using block quotes too much unless you have a lot of sentence structure around it. The reason why is then it just looks like you're gloating, and nobody likes that. So, for example, I've gone to one website where every other sentence was a block quote saying, my videos are awesome. Check out this guy, what he had to say, and check out what this guy had to say, and what about that guy over there? I don't need all that. I might just need 2, maybe 3 block quotes to let people know what my service offers, but there better be a whole lot of stuff before that explaining it than just a bunch of people saying like, oh yeah, I love this video series. It was very soothing and it made me feel better about myself. That's nice. What was the video series about? Oh, because most quotes are just affirming that whatever you're about to buy is a good deal or affirming that it really helped. But most quotes don't go into details about what the package is, you understand. So, for example, I'm a guy, as you can tell, and let's say you have P90X, and P90X is this big workout thing, and I'm probably dating this video if it all of a sudden becomes not popular anymore. But let's say somebody's doing it, and I do a quote, and it says, oh man, it really changed my body from flab to fab. I'm sure I probably would never say that on record, but that's said, but nowhere does it state that I did this by doing yoga or taekwondo or lifting weights. It just tells you I went from flab to fab, which is very generic and it doesn't really speak much to what the package does. That's why I say use block quotes sparingly. Let's move on, shall we? Because the time is running out. Next, left align, right, center align, right align, simple. You want to type something here, you left align. You want it over here in the center align, center align. If you want it to the right, right align. Pretty simple. Now, if you want to make it a link, as you keep it highlighted, click on the link button. Now, I cannot stress this enough. You always want to check this button, open link in a new window. And when you put in the URL or the destination link and hit add link. Why do you want to have it check off in a new window? Here's the logic. The logic behind it is, I'm a user. I'm on your website, you're talking about coaching, you're referring to some place that you've been to, or you're referring to a restaurant that you will be doing an open mic session, right? So you go, oh, I'm going to have open mic session at, Shakey's Pizza on 53rd and 3rd. And everybody's like, oh, Shakey's Pizza. And they click on the Shakey's Pizza link. Now they're on Shakey's Pizza, they're looking at it and go, okay, I know where that is. Yep. Uh-oh. What website was I on before I went to Shakey's Pizza? Oh, no. Close the window. Well, because you didn't make that link open up its own window, they just lost you, and you just lost them. So what happens is when it opens up its own link into its own window, it's like, I'm on Shakey's Pizza at 53rd and 3rd. They click on it, boom, new window comes up, Shakey's Pizza. And then when they're done, click, your site's still there, and it's still intact. That's the way to do it. Now, the only time you do not want to have it checked and have it unchecked like this is if, let's say, you're linking them to something you said earlier. So, as you guys might have remembered in my previous blog post entitled, and then you put the link here. When they click on that link, it'll take them to another link within your website. That's perfectly fine because you want people to not get a new window, everything they stay internal to your website, but get a window that goes external to your website. Make sense? No? Does it? Okay. Well, basically, long and short of it is, if they leave your website, you want to let them leave on their own window. If they stay within your website, you want them to stay within the same window. There you go. Pretty cut and dry. Next up here, insert a more tag. Very rarely use that. This is your spell checker. Because I'm using Firefox automatically underlines it, but if you're using something like Internet Explorer, unless you have certain plugins and add-ons, you do not have a word check, and you might spell the word the, T-E-H, and then you have it online and not know why everyone's laughing at you. But if you click this button, it will actually sit there, go through the spelling, and tell you what words are wrong and tell you how to change it. This is full screen mode. Don't click that. Full screen mode only makes this window bigger. You really don't need it bigger unless you're on a netbook. So I call that the netbook button. That's because netbooks have very small screens. Next, that's the kitchen sink. We already went over that. We already went over this if you've ever went through our YouTube video. Next is paragraph. You can have it a paragraph, an address format, pre-formatted, and then different headers. So let's say this is a point that you're trying to make. You can do heading 1, boom, and it's big. Or you can do paragraph, boom, it's back to being small again. So let's say this is what we want, right? I'm going to do, that's the header, and this is more gobbledygook. And you go over this, that here, boom, instantly. Delete here. Instantly, now that's the point of focus, so you know that that's the point I'm trying to bring across. And then this is the supporting statement to whatever the point is at the top. You can always do header 1, and then you can go all the way down to header 6, which is really tiny. I suggest staying in the header 1 or header 2, only because it normally that normally brings enough attention to it. You don't really need to use pre-formatted or addresses, so whatever to that. This is the underline button. This is the full align button. You probably won't be using that button ever, and you'll probably be using this sparingly. I say sparingly because some people, when you add links are already underlined. So underlining a word, unless you're, let's say, underlining a word and putting color on it. So let's just say this word, or this section of craziness that I wrote with one hand. And let's say you have this underline, and then you can go here and then make it red. Well, that basically does is just draws attention to it. But I wouldn't say just underline it, because people might assume that that's actually a link, and then they're going to go, oh, the link's not working. I should email this person. then you're going to get an email where people say, oh, the links on your post don't work. And you're like, what are you talking about? Those are just underlines. And then you get this weird argument. You don't really want to go there. Anyways, so I told you want to turn this thing on because it's going to save your life one day when it comes to blogging. Here's the reason why. This little guy here, paste from Word. And this little guy here, paste from plain text. What you're going to do, you're at work. You don't want to do stuff on your blog at work, so you type stuff in Word. And what happens when you get home? You want to post it to your page. When you do post it to your page, it looks crazy because Word adds all these extra things to it. What you want to do is click this button. It's going to open up its own window. And what you're going to do is highlight everything from Word, copy, and you're going to paste it right into here, and then hit insert. Once it inserts, it pulls out all the craziness that Word puts onto a file. It makes it easier. Same thing with plain text, so if you write it in like a text editor or something. But the logic behind it is that there's going to be a lot of people out there that's going to be able to write on the go, and they're, let's say, in an airplane, and they can't get in front of the blog because not all airplanes are wireless enabled yet. And you get off the plane, you go, oh, let me make sure I add this to the website. Make sure you use the paste from Word or paste from plain text function, because it will actually help things be formatted. I can't tell you how many times I've had people email me saying, hey, I pasted stuff in from Word, but now everything's like not formatted correctly. What do I do? I was like, first, delete it. You want to go ahead and do this, paste from Word, and then just reformat it. So really in Word, just type it as plain text, because when you get it into here, you're going to have to edit it anyways, just so you know. This is your indent button. This is going to be your undo button, so if you type something wrong, you can undo it, and this is your little help guide. Now, let's move all the way over to the right, shall we? This is going to be saved as a draft, so if you save it, it won't ever be published to your website until you undraft it. This is going to be previews. You can preview what it looks like. This is the status of draft, but you can change it from draft to pending review. So if you have several people that's working on your coaching website, you can do pending review, which means that the administrator can then review that actual post. You can make it visible to the public, or you can password protect it, or make it private. Either way it goes. Then you can have it post immediately. This is an awesome feature that's on all WordPresses, no plugins needed. If you have to post something and you want to post it later or earlier in the day, it's perfect. You basically sit there and go, okay, I want this to post November. I want it to post on the 12th. This is a military time, just so you know. And then you say, I want to do it at 1330, which is basically 1:30. So there you go, 1:30. That means that even though you hit publish, it won't show up on your website till this time passes. It's perfect for all those people who sit down and you're kind of like me and you can think of 101 things to write about, but you really don't have the patience to actually wait to that day and hit the publish button. This is perfect. You could write it all in that day when you're inspired, then space it out between the days and the weeks and the months. Then it will just drop it on, just whenever time frame you put it onto. Now, one thing I would say is get a schedule going. If you post every Wednesday, make it every Wednesday. If you post at noon every day, make sure the post shows up at noon every day. Never, ever, 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 did I say ever? Yes, ever, allow yourself to just post it randomly whenever you feel like it. And the reason behind it is, as a fan, you grown attached to when certain things get published. And if you publish at 2 in the morning, and then 1 p.m., and then 5 in the afternoon, and then 6 a.m., it's very hard to keep up with you. It's kind of like this. Your favorite show, right, is on TV. And you know it comes on at 8 o'clock on your favorite station. So imagine your website is somebody's favorite show on their favorite station. Well, if they know their favorite show starts at 8 and ends at 9, they know from 8 to 9, they're going to be glued in front of their TV. So if they know that from hours of 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., you're going to be making blog posts all during that time, they know to stay glued onto that website for that time frame. Just like with OdinSpark.com, when we do our blog, they're normally noon on Wednesday. So that means everybody knows noon on Wednesday, right before they go on at lunch, Eastern Standard Time, bam, there's a blog post. That's the logic behind it. I really highly suggest that you use this a lot. Next up, these are the categories. It's simple. If you don't have a category for something, just add a category. I normally say keep things within 2 to 3 categories. The reason behind it is, if you put them in multiple categories, it's just going to make your site look unprofessional. I mean, you don't go to CNN.com or FoxNews.com or wherever you go to get your news and find the same article in 8 different places, right? You wouldn't want to see a political article show up in the entertainment section, just like you don't want to see something in the entertainment section showing up in the health section. So you want to separate everything. And as being a coach, you have public speaking engagements, you have webinars, you have seminars, you have stuff that you're doing, you have words of acknowledgement, words of affirmation. You have so many different things. So just sit down and, just take 30 minutes out of your day and just write all the categories you can think of. Then take 15 minutes to decide which categories really sound like other categories. I know that doesn't make any sense right now, but you'll see when you get into it. So like right here, coffee house chat, right? Then there's Java Daves, Java Johns, Java Steves. Well, the thing is that I could have did Java Dave, Java John, Java Steve all by itself, but it's not, because they're all coffee house chats. So they all fall under that one category. So you'll find that even though you came up with all these categories in the first 30 minutes, the next 15 minutes you're going to spend is figure out where they actually could fall under. Not everything can fall under general, and not everything can fall under uncategorized. Make sure you have a category for everything. Next up is post tags. If you have a WordPress 101, we showed you a little shortcut to that. If not, I suggest highly getting it. And the only reason why I keep pushing the WordPress 101 is that it really is the nuts and bolts of everything you need to know about WordPress. I say if you have WordPress 101 and you have this actual video series, there's nothing you can't do for your website, honestly. And this is not me trying to push another product down your throat. It's me saying very honestly, most people I know who have used the WordPress 101 say that they not only understand WordPress greater than they did when they actually paid someone to teach them. Outside of me, they went to a class. A couple people said they went to a class, they left, didn't know anything. A friend of theirs told them about my WordPress 101 thing, and they were like, oh man, I learned more in that video series than I ever learned in any of the classes I've taken on it. But then on top of that, it empowers you to feel like you can be adventurous with your website. And that's what I want you to feel, free to do your own thing. It's the do-it-yourselfer's dream. WordPress is a very strong program. It takes a lot to break it. So that's what I'm trying to do, is make you feel like you can actually take control of it. The next is the featured image, which we've gone over before. So there you go. It's a bit lengthy, I know, and I know you're like, oh, that's not a refresher, that's a whole course. Well, sometimes you don't get all the things in the first time around, right? And sometimes you sit back and you go, oh, I wish I would have knew what these buttons did here. So I wanted to make sure I at least covered every button and explained the logic behind each button, instead of just going, that's what that button does, this is what this button does, because then this video would have only been 5 minutes long and you would have been left with more questions than answers. So in the end, we're going to move on to the next part in our next video, which is how to add random quotes to your website. I know you coaches like to quote people, and it's good to share that with the rest of the world. So tune in next time as we go over how to add random quotes to your website. Till then, I'll talk to you later.